Hello friends and fashion lovers, you're welcome back. Thank you for all your love, thank you for your support, and thank you for clicking on this video. In today's tutorial, we'll be making this lovely layered ball dress, tulle baby dress, whatever you like to call it. I would love to know the name you want to give to this lovely baby dress. Without further ado, let's get right into the making of this dress. For this dress, you will need a lace fabric, you will need a tulle fabric or net, you also need your satin or some form of lining, and you need a zipper or a button. And of course, you'll be using a basic bodice pattern. A link to this basic bodice pattern will be in the description box. What I'm going to do to the basic bodice now, I'm going to alter the back. So on the back, I'll just fold the zipper allowance out and give a deep V on the back neckline. So it's all up to you, whatever design you choose for the back. Right now, the back bodice is ready. So it's time to use our pattern and cut our fabric. Yes, I cut 2 of the satin fabric and unfold. And of course, your layers, don't forget the detailing in the middle. So you could either match it up to cut again. So I tried as much as possible to match this up. So it's time to meet our pieces. So here is the back. I have a tool to go with it just to have a neat finishing on the armhole. And also the front is cut on fold. I have 2 linings for the front, one for my fashion fabric and one of course is the main lining. So right now I'm going to just place this right side facing. Stitch on the armhole. Just the armhole right there. And for the front, also place right side facing. This time you are going to stitch the armhole. Make sure it's right side facing. You can go ahead and secure your fashion fabric or your lace to your lining. Just make sure it's well secured. Then you can place your lining right side facing. Sew the armhole, the neckline, and the other armhole. So you are not sewing the shoulder, the armhole, the neckline, and the second armhole. After stitching the armhole, go ahead and notch like you would normally do, assuming that you have notched the back and finished the armhole nicely. That's flip it over. So it's time for you to open the front like so. When opening the front, make sure you can flip it out if you just want to finish it, but to finish it neatly, you have to make sure you place right side facing. Your fashion fabric or your lace should be right side facing. Go ahead and pass the shoulder of your back bodice through the front. The fashion fabric should be facing the fashion fabric and the lining should be facing the lining. And when tucking this in, you have to make sure it is properly aligned. You want to do it nicely. Now, of course, stitch the shoulder. After stitching the shoulder, do well to clip the sides. This is where the excess bulk, majority of the bulk will be. You don't want to have a lot of bulk on the shoulder, so you can even trim the excess here. But I didn't have so much excess, so I just clip the side. Then just pull out your back and it's all nice. So now that it's pulled out, you can go ahead and press the front of your bodice. And when you're done pressing the front, open it up. So it's time to sandwich the back again into the front. So you're going to open the side of the front. So this other time you're just going to make sure that the fashion fabric is facing the fashion fabric and you bring the lining behind. Secure that in place. So once again, open it up. Make sure that the fashion fabric is facing the fashion fabric. Then you go ahead and secure that in place. So just for a quick check, when you drop it, it should look like this. So you can check to confirm that it's properly done. Then you can stitch that in your sewing machine. After stitching, your bodice is ready. So here it is. It's time to work on the skirt. So here I have my fabric unfold. In case you are here for the first time, yes, this is how I folded my fabric. Just fold it over like so. And we are going to be doing the marking at this folded edge. So now on my fabric, you will need your waist circumference. What do I mean by waist circumference? Yes, you're going to measure the bodice, the front bodice and the back bodice, and you're going to have double of that, including the zipper allowance. Double of that, that is the waist measurement you're using for your skirt. Please do not include seaming allowance in this measurement when you're measuring your bodice, please. So here, whatever you have, you're going to divide it. In my own case, I had 28 inches. So the waist of the child is 26 inches. 2 inches was the zipper allowance or the extension at the back. So I had 28 inches. So just take to have a perfect circle that fits. In my opinion, the formula that normally works for me is before dividing it by 3.14, I will subtract 1 inch. So I now end up with 27 divided by 3.14. So that was my radius, which was 8.5. Then for your skirt part, you measure the length of your skirt, including your seaming allowance. I used 1 inch seam allowance. That's half inch for the upper part and half inch for the down part. Then you can go ahead and connect this part to form. Just go ahead and connect this part to form your half circle. Please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell. It's totally free. Please. Thank you for subscribing. When you're done connecting, go ahead and cut it out. You're going to repeat the same step for the lining, but on the lining piece, you are taking out 1 inch in the length. So here is my main fabric and here is my lining. So right here, my lining is 1 inch shorter than my main skirt. So this part is totally optional. You need a can. I am not a huge fan of a can because the child has a petticoat. So you can have more layers of this can. But one thing is, at least stop the can 1 inch before the hem line of the skirt. So you can go ahead and pleat this can on the lining. And note that this part is not going to be facing the child or touching the child. So that's just for the lining. You are pleating the can on it. So now on the main skirt, You're going to divide the length of your skirt by the numbers of layers you want. So I want 3 layers. So I'm going to divide this into that numbers of layers. So go ahead and mark it out. So the first layer will obviously start up there. So the second one will start where I just marked. And the third one will be somewhere here. We'll start right there. So now that I have marked out where my layers will be, next is to extend these markings. So you're going to extend this marking all through your skirt and connect it. After connecting it, I like to place the side of the skirts together like so. I'm going to stitch the side of the skirt close. But before then, I'm going to notch where I want the opening for my zipper or button will be. So you want to keep some opening right here, because you want the child to be able to get in and out of the skirt easily. So I didn't just do any marking, I just did some random cut right there. So now starting from there, I'm going to stitch down. The next thing I will do is to cut my tulle. So I'm going to cut this tulle in layers. So I'm going to have it cut into different layers. Then I'll go ahead and gather it as well. So right here, I have my tulle cut in layers. And also my lining. I have attached the can to my lining. I only did 1 layer, not much. Don't want much of a volume since the child will be wearing it with a petticoat. So here is how I'm going to be placing the layers to sew. So my tulle is cut and gathered into different layers. So I'm going to be sewing this tulle on each layer. So here it is after I finished sewing it in each layer. An important thing to note when it comes to cutting your tulle, you want it to be able to overlap and cover the previous one. So for mine, I made it to overlap by 1.5 inch. That's 1.5 inches. You want it to have some extra. Like mine, if you have like 6 inches, you have to make sure that you cut 7.5 or 8 inches. You can add as much as 2 inches to it for more overlap. So now it's time to attach our bodice to this skirt. So you have to make sure that it's right side facing when attaching, and also attach your lining to the skirt. If you are interested, you can add a zipper. I have a zipper, how to install invisible zip tutorial. The dress is finished nicely, and this is how it looks. It's quite beautiful inside and outside. So this is it. So this is how the front looks. on the back as well. It's quite lovely. So if you have watched to this point, I want to say a big thank you for watching. Please, if you haven't subscribed, do well to subscribe. Thank you and see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.